Welcome to the Smarter Science of Slim, the scientifically proven program where you eat more and exercise less to burn fat and boost health.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor back with another bonus Smarter Science of Slim podcast. Delighted to bring you today's guest. She is a registered dietitian, spokesperson, and media personality who works out of New York. She's also the author of the book, The Small Change Diet. She's the past spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. That's cool. We got to dig into that. And she's also the past president of the New York State Dietetic Association. She's got a master's degree in clinical nutrition. And she also has a bachelor's degree in business administration. I only mention that because she got that from Ohio University, and I am from Columbus, Ohio. So we have something in common in addition to our passion for helping people live better. She's all over the media. She's all over helping people. Keri Gans, welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Jonathan.
Keri, Ohio University. Tell me about, no, not specific to Ohio University, but tell me a little, I always think it's fascinating. I mean, you truly rose to the top of the ranks in the traditional nutrition and dietetic community, being the spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and the past president of the New York State Dietetic Association. What was your journey from little Keri to that?
Well, interesting enough, at Ohio University, I was not even studying nutrition. So that was not even something I thought about when I first went off to school. I actually went to OU to study communications. And I then met somebody and ended up deciding that communications at the time was boring. He was a marketing major. And just like that, I became a marketing major. So that's how I wound up graduating with a business degree. So it wasn't really something I had even thought about. So speed forward, graduate with a business degree, move to New York City, and start working in the fashion industry. And did that for about 10 years until I was like, there has to be more to life than, even though I'm very passionate about clothing and fashion, there has to be more than just doing that. And I decided to go back to school at New York University and follow my real passion, and that was health. And I did that. Got a degree, got a master's, as you said, in clinical nutrition, and started on the path to helping people eat and feel better.
And Keri, so then you went on, you were a spokesperson. I can see now where the marketing background comes in for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. What has been your observation on this journey? Have you seen any significant shifts or changes in the dietetic landscape that you either like or dislike?
Well, the interesting thing is that it's a career, and I should say a field, that's always changing. That's why I really do love it. It never really gets boring. And within the field, when we talk about health and nutrition, I mean, when I started back in, 2000, there are certain beliefs that we had about how to help people. And even over the years, with so many different new ideas that come up, it really goes back to still the basics. And that's why I love it, because there's always all this new info, but a lot of it really you still think about and you're like, not as much has really changed. It's just a lot of more hype has come out. More people have an interest for it. But I'm kind of still saying a lot of the same things I was saying 13 years ago.
Well, it does seem like there's been a bit of a full circle where there was what grandma said, which was just eat food. And then there was like all this complex calorie counting and metabolism math and like trick yourself, do this. And now we're just like, hey, just eat food.
Exactly. And it's kind of, that's what I love about it. I mean, it's still kind of like, yes, your mother was right. Start your day with breakfast. But how do we communicate that to people that are changing in their lives, in their careers, becoming busier, not as home as much? How do we really still focus on health when everything around us is changing? And it has been. I mean, I think I do use my marketing background, and it's a way to really learn how to communicate. And being a past spokesperson, that was very exciting for me, because that was really getting out there and representing more than 72,000 members of the Academy and saying, okay, this is really what is based on science. this is not just fad diets, and getting out there and communicating a clear and concise message about how to eat healthy.
Keri, when you say eat healthy, like that's, I think we all take that for granted as like, yeah, we just need to do that. But at the same time, it seems like there is a equally as commonly touted recommendation, which is just eat less. Like I don't care about your lifestyle. I don't care about how much you're sleeping. I don't care if you go to McDonald's. Just eat less. Like you just eat less.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, we have to start somewhere. So for example, if I have, part of what I still do is have a private practice. And my whole belief is I have to meet my patients halfway.
Mm-hmm.
If I have somebody coming into my office who's basically really eating unhealthy, and when I say unhealthy, meaning they're not eating any fruits and vegetables, they don't even know what a whole grain is, breakfast for them is a cup of coffee. I have to start somewhere. So if that means right now still going to a fast food establishment, but maybe having a better choice there. For example, maybe they were doing a cheeseburger, double, whatever, loaded with extra bacon and everything. Maybe now it's okay. Maybe you just have a single burger. Maybe instead of having a large fries, you have a small fry. Maybe instead of having the supersized Coke, you're switching to water. One step at a time. It doesn't mean they should have to never walk into a fast food establishment again, because that might not be reasonable for this person where they are at this specific time in their life.
Keri, what I really like about what you just said is it sounded like you said you can go to McDonald's and get something else, aka change the quality of what you're eating, because there's two. It seems like there's maybe two complementary approaches. One is you could just say you should just not go to just skip lunch, just stop eating lunch completely, just stop eating to the extent that you can stop eating. You're good.
That's stop.
And in some ways, telling someone, for example, to eat the Big Mac without the bun is telling them to eat less, but it is also telling them to change the quality of what they're eating. So I realize that it's definitely both, but which do you tend to emphasize more?
For me, really what I believe is small changes. And I feel that that's important. So for example, if somebody is having a Big Mac, maybe they don't necessarily need to lose the bun, but maybe they need to make it just a single burger. Not do the ultra huge size.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe they might have brought some fruit with them miraculously to work. Maybe they have a piece of fruit for dessert with that hamburger and fries. I think we focus too much on what people shouldn't be doing. And I think we need to start as a nation focusing more on what they should be doing. It's not to say that some of those shouldn'ts aren't going to occur, because this is life. And I feel if we really start to tell people and we play like, the food police, obviously that's not going to work. It's not working. People don't want to constantly be told what they shouldn't do.
I love the focus on pragmatism and just like baseline. It seems like there's a set of things that just don't work. And tell me what you think about this. Telling someone that they need to be hungry, they just need to go through life being hungry is not, it can't work.
And it shouldn't have to be. I tell when my patients complain that they're hungry, first of all, I say to them, there's nothing wrong with being a little hungry. That actually means that you're healthy. If you had no appetite and you never felt hungry, then maybe there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. But it's how do we even define hunger? Mm-hmm. Nobody should walk around starved all day. But being a little hungry, that's okay. I think people aren't comfortable with that. I think people aren't used to knowing, oh, okay, I've eaten a wonderful, healthy breakfast, and now it's 3 hours later, and yeah, I'm a little hungry. So guess what? It's okay. Have a snack. Eat a little something, and then let it last until your next meal, where again, you might get a little hungry, but you're not going to stuff your face either, because there's different ways that we look at things here. A little hunger is okay. Being starved all day, like I said, that's not what you should want.
Yeah, it sounds like it's maybe the distinction between this chronic hunger that is demoralizing and sabotages your ability to live versus hunger as a trigger to nourish your body, which of course, if we didn't have that, it's like not having pain. Like you just leave your hand on the burning stove. That's not good.
Right. And an excellent point, to nourish your body. I think more people also need to look at that. And I don't think they do. And I also think more people need to look at and identify, are they really hungry? Because I always focus with people, especially when we talk about nighttime eating. If they had a wonderful dinner, and we're talking, what is a wonderful dinner? I'm talking a broiled piece of fish, a vegetable, a whole grain with that. Maybe they started with a salad. Maybe they had some berries for dessert, a nice, well-balanced dinner. And then 2 hours later, they are so-called hungry. But are they really? Or are they just simply bored? Or are they anxious? Or are they lonely? Or are they tired? Or are they eating out of all the wrong reasons? And in that regard, I tell people to step back a moment and think about what's going on with them. And is it really food they want? Or do they need to do something else because it's not really about hunger?
Or a hunger for something other than food.
Exactly. And to identify that is challenging. I mean, you think about it, children, they know when they're hungry, they know when they're full. Somehow adults, over the years, with all different environmental factors, and lots of other stuff that might happen, we lose the ability to really identify if we are really hungry, if we are really full, unfortunately.
So, Keri, one of the key reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because obviously you've been doing this for a really long time. You've risen to the upper echelons of the Dietetic Association, and I wanted your help. And this we've covered this or indirectly twice so far, and that is there is this. It seems like there's this potentially a disconnect, or at least a major disagreement in the dietary community nowadays, which is, should you be like protein, not necessarily a source of calories, like it's a structural component of your diet, right? So should you be, and you can only get so many carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables. Like you ain't going to get that many carbohydrate from vegetables. You'd have to eat 30 pounds of vegetables, right? So
correct. You need a lot of veggies to get adequate carbs.
So do you get the balance of your calories that you need to just have energy from quote unquote, and I say we can talk about quote unquote, healthy whole grains or whole food fats? And there seems to be like this dichotomy where some people are like, it's all about starch and whole grain starches, and those are the bee's knees. And then there are these other people that are like, it's avocados, it's chia, it's grass-fed beef, it's seafood.
And that's why everybody, Jonathan, is so confused, because nobody knows who to listen to, what they should put on their plate. My belief, and what I tell my patients, is that, first of all, let's picture a plate. And let's picture it as your dinner plate. Half of that plate should come from vegetables. Okay? Plain and simple, vegetables. Now, should they be smothered in lots of fat? No. Plain, let's just say, for all intents and purposes, steamed veggies. We'll get to the fats in a moment. Then another quarter of your plate should be the whole grains. And the whole grains meaning rice, brown rice, or quinoa, or barley, or whole wheat couscous, or whole wheat pasta, or whole wheat bread. I'm a big fan of all carbs, but I'm looking for, when I say all, high fiber whole grain carbs. Then the other quarter of the plate is where your protein comes in. Not half the plate, not the whole plate, but a quarter of the plate should be protein. And protein should come from sources that are preferably lean. We're talking fish or beans or poultry without the skin. I find that you can even put in lean beef there, a ground sirloin, a bison. It fits into that quarter of the plate. Then you want to think, have I gotten any healthy fats with this meal? Is it coming in my salmon? Am I adding a little bit of olive oil? Fine, not overkill. The whole point is to have a balanced plate. And then for dessert, we throw in the fruit. Now we've incorporated all the food groups, but we're not overdoing any of them.
So, Keri, when you say a balanced plate, so certainly what you described, half vegetables, quarter whole grains, quarter lean or nutrient-dense proteins, would you feel comfortable if someone said, well, instead of getting 25% of my plate from a whole grain, I am going to have some avocado or maybe put some coconut oil. I'm going to maybe saute my vegetables in a coconut oil.
I don't think whole grains and fat can be replaced for one or the other. They're completely different types of components. Whole grains, which predominantly are high in fiber, can help lower cholesterol. Well, avocado, monounsaturated fats do have that ability as well. However, whole grains also can help monitor blood sugar control, can help relieve constipation. It has a different role. Also, it's energy. You can't use fat for your energy the same way you can use carbs for energy. It's different. I feel the avocado needs to be part of the plate in a small amount because that aids in satiety. So the healthy fats help fill you up so you don't want to overeat. That's where the balance comes into play.
So it sounds like you had mentioned that the key components of the whole grains, correct me if I'm wrong, is there is a fibrous component and there is an energy component.
100%.
So
Yes.
because I think that sometimes there's almost a false dichotomy. People get confused because when they say like I eat fat, they would conflate, for example, a coconut, a cocoa, a chia, avocado, which are
Right.
fibrous and do like super fibrous. Actually, they're incredibly fibrous, and they do provide. I mean, certainly the body can run off of fat. I mean, fat is obviously
Yes, but your number one source of energy should come from carbohydrates. But people also don't, when they think carbs, they start to tend to think only bread. Carbohydrates are also our fruit and vegetables. Yes, there's less in vegetables, only 3 grams per serving of carbs versus the 15 in a piece of fruit, but nonetheless, those are carbohydrates.
And in terms of your experience in the dietetic, the reason I'm asking this, kind of digging on this, is because I think I've seen both in research and in practice and just in the world, there are people who have had a lot of success with half their plate being vegetables, quarter being whole grains, quarter being protein. I've also seen, and the research supports, a lot of success with half vegetables, quarter protein, and then the balance or the caloric balance coming from whole food fats, and relying on fruits and vegetables for the fiber and relying on whole food fats for the energy. Do you think that is wrong? Or
I have not seen the science to support that. I feel that fat is definitely a component of a meal, but I don't know if I would put it as much as a quarter of the plate, more or less. I mean, when I look at it, if we want to talk percentages, I mean, yes, I do think that it's typically around 20% from protein, 25% from fat, and 55% from carbohydrates. That's how I look at a daily intake of the breakdown, is how it should be. Now, that's because really, if we think about it, fat, I mean, that comes in certain foods that we're eating naturally. So if we're having a fatty piece of fish, or we're having a lean piece of beef, there's fat in there. So fat comes into play naturally. Should we also add the healthy fats like the nuts, the seeds, because they have health benefits onto their own? Yes, but I don't think they need to take up more than 30% maximum of a daily need of a person's consumption.
And do you feel is it not your recommendation, or do you feel it's detrimental to have a higher percentage of your calories come from whole food fats?
I mean, I would think that I would need to know about a person.
Okay.
You know, there's no one size fits all. And that's the whole thing about nutrition. We need to look at individuals. So there's a lot of recommendations out there. And I think people need to really also take into consideration their own needs, their own, health risks. Are they at risk for heart disease, diabetes? What is their current weight? Lots of other factors, their activity level. I mean, I don't know if I would say that to an endurance athlete. I wouldn't want them to cut back so much on carbohydrates. So I think we really can't say this is the way it should be. We need to look at everybody individually and then make recommendations.
Gotcha. No, and I think that is spot on, and I so appreciate your willingness to describe this, because what I'm just observing in the community at large, because we try to bring a diversity of people on the show, I try to talk to everyone, get research from all angles, is that some people perceive like the dietetic community, and there's even some dietitians now coming out and saying, like, as believing in this lipophobia, or that just like fat is scary and bad. So you have this counterculture, which is like you should eat all fat and only fat. And it seems like the answer is it depends on the individual, and regardless, you should be getting your food, however, carbohydrate, protein, fat, from the highest quality whole food sources.
Yes, and I think that we shouldn't be afraid of any food group. I mean, that is, to me, the bottom line. So if you're saying there's all these new people coming out that are, all about fat, well, I don't want them to forget about the carbohydrates. There are still people that are carb phobic. So it works both ways. And I just wish that people would realize that every food group, believe it or not, offers different nutrients and different components that we need to run our bodies efficiently.
When you say the unique nutritional contributions? Because what I've seen a lot of people do is they say, I'm going to get my carbohydrate from fruit and vegetables, and that's going to give me all the fiber. Like everything that a whole grain will do, fruit and vegetables will do nutritionally. There's not a unique property you can't have a grain deficiency. Like there's no such thing as an essential grain.
But there are unique properties to whole grains that you will not find in a piece of fruit. So therefore, people really need to look at the whole picture. I mean, I really think, I just don't see a reason. The other thing is, yes, if somebody said to me, I hate whole grains. Okay. If they hate them, then they're not going to eat them. And I will try to find a way for them to get all as best nutrients they can without them. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's so clear cut. Mm-hmm. I think a job as a nutrition expert is to make sure that you are helping people to achieve their ultimate wellness as best as you can based on their likes and their dislikes. Because if you also go out there and say to people, well, you only need to be eating avocado and all these different types of fats, and they hate avocado, well, now where do you stand?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. And I think people need to realize, people go out there and saying and touting certain foods that, these are superfoods and this is what you should be eating. But what if they don't like it? I think we have to really, and I said this earlier in the interview, we need to really meet people halfway. Where are they at? And get off of our own interests and not just do it on what we believe for ourselves personally, but what will also be best for somebody else.
Really with that focus on results and helping people to live better rather than being right.
Exactly. Because you know what? There is no right and wrong. The right and wrong comes in at the bottom. The bottom line is when you look at somebody's blood work and you see where's their cholesterol levels, where's their blood glucose, also how's their blood pressure. We need to look at those numbers and then make our decision on what's working and what's not.
I love it. Let the results be your guide rather than dogma or what you heard from someone. And so Keri, one last thing. I know we're at time, but just given your role, I'm so curious. You've mentioned the term food groups, and like for example, dairy is its own food group. And
yes, it is.
And I just do you know how things become their own food group? Like how does that decided upon?
It was decided upon long before any of us were born. I don't know. People sat in a room and decided. I don't really know how the food pyramid was originally created. That's something I guess we can all Google and see when it started. But yes, we didn't even mention low-fat dairy, and I'm also a component for that. I feel dairy has a lot of nutrients that you're not going to find in other foods. And I know that's disputable too. We could have a whole nother 20-minute discussion on whether someone should eat dairy or not. But that's the beauty of nutrition. And that's why I love the field, because there is always so much conflict and controversy. And we all have our opinions, but we also know what science points out. And I always do err on the side of science.
Absolutely. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's such an interesting marketing or historical question. We say, because when everyone says balance, which we all agree, like balance, yes, balance is good. We all agree with it. Like right. Up with people, yay. But the what is balance is defined by what are food groups and who came up with the food groups. So that's.
Well, you know what? We're going to have to reconvene on that one. We'll both do our research, and then we'll dispute that for a little while.
I love it, Keri. Well, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Your book is called The Small Change Diet. Folks, you can learn more about Keri at KeriGansNutrition.com. Keri, you're obviously full of passion. What's next for you?
Oh, I'm just going to continue going out there and talking to people about what I love, and that's health. So that's what's next. It's always continuing.
Love it. Folks, her name is Keri Gans. Again, her book is The Small Change Diet, 10 Steps to a Thinner, Healthier You. She's focused on results, which makes me happy. And again, you can learn more about her at KeriGansNutrition.com. Keri, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And please remember, this week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. Chat with you soon.
Wait, don't stop listening yet.
You can get fabulous free SANE recipes over at kerrybrown.com.
And don't forget your 100% free eating and exercise quick start program, as well as free, fun, daily tips delivered right into your inbox at bailorgroup.com. That's Bailor group.com.